Anyway.
Master Perplexing is asking if we could romance everyone and get everyone jealous.
That's something I would love to have in later games. Once you're in a romance, you're kind of in it. Just because I would really like it that, like, if you start romancing everyone, or like two people, or something like that, I would really like the scenes that happen to be based on who those people are. Like, for instance, Linda and Denise don't really like each other, and I think that their scene would be very different versus if you were doing that to, like, Lily and Denise. Colorfully minded, yes, you can break up. If you end up being able to do that, they go down to a certain rank and you can never get them back up again. So yes, you can break up. Once you're married, you can't divorce. It's something we would love to have in later games. Right now, we just can't do it. So, and as Colorfully Minded said, if you decided you don't like the person you initially went with, the romance option's a little bit later in the character's events. So I think by the point that the romance option comes up, you're gonna be like, yeah, let's do this. But
Anime Lover just said you can make your own telenovela that way.
I actually would love to do a telenovela visual novel of some kind where you're purposefully trying to make it as dramatic as humanly possible, and that's like the whole point of the game.
Oh, that's an idea. Wild Season, the visual novel.
Screw everything up. Don Doodle says maybe in the sequel you can make a you can take your love triangle onto a bad daytime TV talk show. We do have a number of TV programs scheduled that you can watch in the game. And one of them is called The Days of the Lives of Our Children, which is very much like it's like a really bad soap opera. I'm really excited about that. And
Please asking if characters can break up.
It really depends on who the character is. In some cases, if you get them down to that level where the breakup's going to happen, sometimes they'll come up and they'll be like, oh no, what happened? Like, I still like you. And you're like the one that's like, no. Well, other times, like, the character will come up to you and be like, yeah, we're not dating anymore. Bye. Because it really depends on who it is. You know, some characters aren't gonna roll over because they don't take your shit. But anyway, and this is actually kind of a romance one, in a way, speaking of relationships. It starts late at night. This is on summer 18th, by the way. And you catch fireflies and give them to the person that you like. So, Colorfully Minded, this is a little bit more like what you were talking about with the flowers. You can give this to somebody you're already dating and stuff. That's totally fine. It kind of implies that you like the person if you give them the fireflies. And in theory, they give you fireflies as well. You're supposed to keep them by your bedside at night. And then the first thing in the morning, you let them out. It's like their love's keeping you warm at night. It's, you know, all that sappy stuff.
So sappy.
So, Mr. says nothing like pure romance, like catching a bunch of fireflies and letting them die. No, you let them go in the morning, okay, mister? You let them go. We are not advocates of killing fireflies here at Quickfire Games. This festival, you'll kind of notice once summer hits, you'll notice that there's fireflies kind of all around Bedford Valley, and that's kind of what the Firefly Festival uses and stuff. So yeah, they're really pretty. So, and it's probably the prettiest festival in the game.
Yes. John Doodles just said, assuming those
live till morning. You have to remember to punch holes in the lid. Your lids will be pre-holed. Okay. It will be okay. But yeah, that's Firefly Festival. So moving on, it's the animal contest. Guys have animals, you can put them in a contest. See how they compete against others. So the animal contest, actually really quick, Colorfully Minded said, how soon in the game can you give fireflies? You can start giving fireflies on year 2. Because, as Colorfully Minded says, there is something that complicates this a little bit. Year 1. I won't really go into what complicates it, but you're a little bit involved with something during the Firefly Festival in year 1. I personally like the animal contest a lot because I think it's kind of funny because you actually do things during the animal contest. It's not like you're just watching a scene there's a lot of these festivals, like for instance, like the beach day, animal contest, and things like that, where if you attend, but you decide that you don't actually want to participate in the contest itself, there's a scene that you can watch instead that like the characters are competing in something, and the animal contest is one of those. You'll kind of watch other people try to show off their animals. Mr. Felix, like, yeah, so this is my cow, it gives me milk. That's kind of how it goes, yeah. Animal contest is kind of awkward, but I think it's great in its awkwardness, so... Because I've always, in games that have had similar things, I've always felt like can't really, you don't really participate in that, so I wanted to make it a little bit more interactive. But anyway, Harvest Festival. So this is the biggest festival of the year. It's actually a 3-day festival. It is on fall 13th through fall 15th. Each of the days has different event, and we're kind of keeping it under wraps on what exactly those events are. You have to play the game to figure out. But yeah, it's 3 days long. It kind of is just celebrating the harvest and stuff. So yeah. And then there's a horse racing festival on
Fall 22.
Yeah, fall 22. And then there's a cooking contest on fall 29th. Hey! Cooking contest? Prove your worth in the culinary arts. And dishes are themed each year. So what happens is you go to the festival and you decide that you want to participate. You don't have to have ingredients. You don't have to have a dish with you already, anything like that. And you will be entered into, when you're entered into the contest, you will have cooking supplies and all the ingredients you would need to make dishes based off the theme, and you can make whatever you want from that in that theme. Like one year it might be like breakfast foods. In breakfast foods you could make an omelet, you can make pancakes, all that sort of things, and you would have the ingredients for that. You can use your cookbook or anything like that, and there's 3 rounds, so each round gets more and more difficult based off the things you have to do, and until there's one person on top, and you could be that person. You could be the bronze chef. We're not calling it the bronze chef. I just didn't want to say Iron Chef, but it's kind of like Iron Chef in a weird way. So yeah, it's a little bit more interactive than I think some cooking festivals can be. So you won't have to cook anything at home. You cook it there. Show off your skills. So yeah, that is a cooking contest. And then John Doodle's last pancake standing.
Oh, Color Reminded asks, any one of those events possible for romantic shenanigans?
There will be a romantic thing, and it's happening right now. Welcome to Youll's Eve. It's on Winter 20.
Yeah.
Invite the person you like out on a dinner date. You bring them a gift, they'll give you one too. Make sure you bring them a gift, because they will get really mad at you if you don't.
What if you invite the person you don't like?
You can only invite them if their friendship levels at a certain. You can't invite somebody you hate. They just won't. They just won't come with you. They'll just be like, "No, what's wrong with you? Go away." On Youll's Eve, and as the years go by, you'll get more and more of options of where you can actually go, and that will kind of determine how your dinner goes, kind of in a way. You can invite somebody back to your house for you to try to cook for them. You can take them to the inn, things like that. And yeah, so this is a completely romantic holiday. You don't have to necessarily be dating that person, but they'll be like, you're trying to go out on a date with me. And if they don't feel the same way, or at least aren't willing to try to go on a date with you, they're just like, no. If for some reason you are trying to play the game in a way that you don't get into any romantic relationships, there will be a few characters that you can technically take out on this day that you can't date.
Oh, I have a question.
Yeah.
What level should the other person be? For example, if there's friends, acquaintance in there, what level?
It kind of depends on the year, because the first year we're kind of making it that the requirements aren't as strict, just because it's kind of hard to get to know people, especially since nobody really likes you when you first come to town. They'll get better, kind of. So there will be a point, however, it's not going to be you don't have to have them at best friends in the entire world level or anything. It's just pretty much you gotta be at a better standing with them than stranger. If you're kind of a stranger to them and you go up and you're like, yo, let's go on a date, they're like, why? And Colorfully Minded, yes, some characters do level up more than
others.
Mm-hmm. It's Youll. Hey. Or oh no, you will not need to get married to beat the game at all. You can go completely throughout the game 100% platonic, and actually we have platonic options for each of those romantic events. Youll is a day where you give children money. Now, this might not seem like something you want to do because it's your hard-earned money.
Can you opt to sleep the entire day to skip Youll?
Oh no. At least one of the children will get you up, and you will have to give her money. The event is different each year. It is something that progresses. It gets more and more crazy each time it happens. But yes, you can, if you want to on Youll. Youll's like an all-day event, so it's not something you go to any sort of, actual location for. And this is on winter 21st, by the way. But you can, if you don't want to give people money, you can just go back to sleep as quickly as possible. But one kid will get you.
That one kid. I think I know who that is already.
Yeah, she will get you. You just have to accept your fate. So anyway, finally at our last festival of the year, which is just as obvious as our first festival of the year, it's New Year's Eve. Because, years end and years also begin. So pretty much New Year's Eve is actually a 2-part festival. What happens is that during the middle of the day, you go to the square and you make a candle that represents your farm. You'll have like several options, like you can carve certain things into it, things like that, and pay attention to what you carve. It might benefit you. But once you make your candle and everything, you meet near the mountain that night, and everybody sails their candles down the river. You kind of conclude the year together, and yeah, so that's New Year's Eve. It's pretty straightforward. But yeah, so that's kind of the festivals Mads and I kind of had to show you today. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We're actually out of time. So again, this is Maddie. Hopefully she'll be with me next week, or somebody else will be. I don't know, but I want Maddie to be with me. And I'm Kelsey, and we will see you guys next week, all right? Thank